on. Does that not work? That is, I don't like the sideways look. Like the. Let's check the live stream. Don't even have it on my thing. Oh, come on. Really? So they don't let you. YouTube is worthless. They don't allow you to put the phone sideways in my preferred recording position. Like, I look at playbacks and I'm just like, why does it look so stupid with the slight. It's absurd. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Black Cat Books Direct. Here we are, intending to talk about upcoming projects. I spent quite a bit of time last night. Well, first of all, I was resting primarily, but I spent a little bit of time playing Dragon Quest Monsters, and I also spent a little bit of time working on upcoming projects and kind of finalizing what I'm intending to do for the year. Now, if anyone's been paying attention, I already have had a handful of projects in the pipeline for a long while now. I confirmed the release date of American Evil last year, and I confirmed the release date of Clover Volume IV last year as well. And those are going to be the projects I want to talk about primarily tonight. Today. It's the morning. But, those are the things I want to talk about. Because I don't know what it was about Jaw the Dragon. I've confirmed this a couple of times, so I need to emphasize this a little bit more. It did not do well compared to Lore and Frey and even Rabbit Hole, which I thought were kind of disappointing at the time. And there are a couple of reasons for that. First of all, everyone seems to go through the chronologically published order thing, because none of these books are most of these books aren't connected, right? So typically what happens is that people make their way through Eye of the Dragon, make their way through Cruel and Beautiful, make their way through Rabbit Hole, then Lore and Frey, and then Jaw the Dragon. And what seems to happen is that Eye of the Dragon is doing extraordinary, very well, even now. Cruel and Beautiful is doing surprisingly well. And Lore and Frey and Rabbit Hole have done fairly well after their initial launch period, right? I've been kind of surprised at how well Rabbit Hole has been doing, long term, because at the time I felt I was just kind of pumping it out there and I had no faith in it. But it's tied for Lore and Frey right now. I checked the sales charts this year, and it's sold the exact same amount of units as Lore and Frey, which had the highest amount of pre-orders ever, right? So, I was very, very pleased with that. I seem to not have processed this when I first started out, but people will buy the older books over time. People will get into them. They'll pick out books they like. They'll get into book series. They'll start realizing I'm really good at what I do, and they'll keep coming back. And that seems to be happening very, very slowly. But with Jaw of the Dragon being a sequel to Eye of the Dragon and not being all that much like it kind of put some people off, I feel. So one of the major direction changes I wanted to do going forward is that I wanted to move away from book series, because I feel like they take too much time, and every time I try to do one, the core concept of the book doesn't come to fruition. I do Lore and Frey, and I'm just well, the story isn't over yet. I gotta write sequels. I do Rabbit Hole, and I'm just the story isn't over yet. I gotta do sequels. I do Eye of the Dragon. I have sequels planned. And the books are good for what they are, but I had this really serious problem where it really feels like these book series are not gonna get finished. And I'm at the point now where the Order of the Dragon books will finish out. Will end in it'll end eventually. I imagine once I get around to writing Heart of the Dragon, it'll go pretty quickly. But that's doable at this point. It doesn't feel like it's never going to happen, like it did just before Jaw of the Dragon came out. Lore and Frey, we're going to be talking about that today. And but Rabbit Hole specifically feels like it's going to be a long, long while before I come back to that one. There are legit concerns that again. What I am doing next, what I'm transitioning into is making longer books that are more complete, that will be one-off standalone books. I think I'll enjoy doing that more. I think the audience will enjoy that more. I think they'll be better. And we won't have to do this thing where you read a book and you like it, and then you have to wait forever for the sequel because I just can't. I'm having a lot of problems doing this. And um, so with American Evil specifically, it is. It is the longest book I've written so far. It's about like, right now I'm at 100,000, 108,000, and like what is it, like 600 or something. Like I'm almost at like 110,000. Okay, like I'm getting there. There's some major plot things developing. There's some major changes. There are like it's coming along very well. Like I think it's gonna be like 160, 70, 80,000 total. Like I don't think it's gonna hit 200,000 the way things are going. But like we're probably past the halfway point at this point. Very, very happy with the book. Can't wait to show it off for people, talk about it more in depth. But the release date has been set. It is 100% launching on October 1st, 2024. So you can pre-order that now. Sideways still? Wait, am I still sideways? Am I still sideways? There we go. Okay. Yeah, so American Evil is launching on October 1st, 2024, and it is going to be like my major project for the year. And I expect it to do fairly well. I do think the book is quite a bit better than everything else I put out at this point. It has better fight scenes, it has more elaborate plot lines. I'm going to be able to take my time with it this time. It's going to be great, right? I've talked a little bit about like the setup and like the early stages of the novel, but I would like to take the time to talk a little bit more about like the direction the story is going in and stuff like that. As you know, as anybody who's been following this story knows, this book, American Evil, was inspired by the Black Cauldron, which is, of course, a very European-inspired fantasy series. The author was American, but it was a European-style fantasy of, like, a young boy going on a journey to become a hero. It's, like, the very archetypal European fantasy story, but it has a lot of really interesting elements to it. Like, if you've seen the Disney adaptation, you've seen a little bit of this with, like, the pig that can see the future and things like that. It has this really odd kind of like childlike quality to it, and it does a really good job at really blending, really making this style of European fantasy feel fresh and unique. Even though you can see a lot of similarities with other stories like Lord of the Rings, and it's nowhere near like that level of quality, like objectively. But at the same time, like you read the books and you end up really liking them. Their perspectives on morality, how they go about things, the characters. You end up getting really attached to them. I found myself very surprised at how much I enjoyed the book. And as a result of that, I kind of decided, okay, how about we bring the European style fantasy to modern America, right? A kid from some small American town is beset by like evil forces and has to go on a journey and has to destroy the evil that's plaguing his community, right? That was kind of the get-go, right? So I conceptualized the female lead, Windsor Ellenwy, the witch that gets the protagonist started. And I conceptualized the protagonist, American Freeman, who is very young when the story starts, who realizes that his idyllic town is not what it seems. His childhood friend, his neighbor, the girl next door, Sinistra, is actually a witch in training. And to become a fully fledged witch, we refer to the process as ascending. She has to like sacrifice a good number of people, and she's like aiming to be like one of the best witches there is in that sphere, the Ignis. So she's going out there. She gets a bunch of people together. She organizes this event. Well, her masters like organize this event. They get a bunch of people together, and she burns them all alive. And there are people that American knows that are in that crowd. And of course, he doesn't like this very much. So of course, like, he tries fighting the witches, he fails, and then he falls into this opposing coven of witches, the Windsor, who are interested in dismantling the absolute control that the Ignis have over the region. And as a result of this, Elenwe sees some potential in him, and she sends him off to another city to be trained and learn how to fight and like go on adventures and stuff like that. And so for the next 7 years, he just becomes stronger, meets new friends, and eventually marries a wife, Soleil, the protagonist from Cruel and Beautiful, curiously enough. And he comes back to the city and tries to take it back. It starts with like dealing with like the corrupt police force who aggressively come after people who try to fix things in the community, and then like the neighborhood cult comes around, and then they have to go after like the proper ascended witches that control entire institutions, and then you have like the elites, the fourth circle. Right? Like the greatest witches the Ignis have to offer. And along the way, they come across other people that aren't happy with the Ignis, and they start, like, fighting each other in these epic anime showdowns. It's great. Okay? Like, I am very happy with the way the plot has developed and how the characters have turned out, especially Soleil. I really, really, really am enjoying every moment I am writing this, and it's just so, so, so good. So exciting to see it develop past, like, beyond what I initially envisioned it. I talked about this a little bit, but, like, Elenwe was originally envisioned to be, like, a love interest. I specifically had, like, an older Shirk from Berserk in mind when I conceptualized her personality and design and stuff like that. That's why, like, they all wear green. But, like, everyone from the Windsor wears green. But, like, eventually I decided that, like, it would make more sense for him to be with Soleil instead. Soleil wasn't initially supposed to be part of the plot, but as I developed the story, as I conceptualized it, I thought it would be really interesting to kind of focus on like a younger Soleil, which was something that I always wanted to do. Right from the beginning of Cruel and Beautiful, I was always like focused on like making this character well-rounded and interesting. But, yeah, it never happened. Like, she was supposed to appear in the Order of the Dragon sequels. Didn't happen. She was supposed to appear in... I considered to have her appear in Lauren Frey. It's not going to happen. Like, I've been wanting for her to come back for a long time, and she comes back in a way that I really never envisioned her being in, right? Like, she ends up marrying this new character, American. They end up having a married life together, right? I'm always thinking about ways of like having unique relationships with characters, and that's kind of how I came up with the idea initially for like Elenwe and American to be together, because she's a witch and stuff like that. I was like thinking of like, okay, I've done like evil witches before. Let's do someone who's a bit more like neutral or like outright good. Actually, yeah, when I first envisioned her, she was like a lot more pure good than what she actually ended up being. But as the series developed and I decided to make the character more complex, I decided on the decision that like it wouldn't be that to make it more of a love triangle, and to kind of make it the anti-Cruel and Beautiful in this sense, where like Soleil is just an amazing person to be around in a lot of ways, and it's like a really kind of trad wife, pure perfect person. Well, perfect person is kind of a stretch, obviously. But, like, you know what I mean, right? Like, kind of taking this character who was clearly defined in Cruel and Beautiful as not being relationship material, right? Like, the thing about, one of the things about Cruel and Beautiful, and like, I've seen people, like, address this before, is that they've accused the characters of being sexualized. That isn't actually true, right? The thing about Cruel and Beautiful is that, like, Amaris Yu specifically was over-sexualized, because that was the point of the character, right? That was the design. That was, like, the thing that made her different than other female characters, was that, like, I exaggerated her sexual qualities. However, when it came to Soleil, her rival, the other girl in that novel, like, I went with the opposite direction and really emphasized that, like, she was, like, kind of a pure virtuous person, right? The exact polar opposite. and that's not something that really comes up a lot in the novel. But like, yeah, Soleil in comparison is not sexualized compared to Amaris Yu in that book, and that's kind of the point, is that like Soleil, in being a genuine kind person, is like better than Amaris Yu, who's kind of a snake, kind of conniving, kind of evil, right? Kind of evil. She's one of the most evil characters in the Codyverse. But like when I look back on it, it's really weird seeing people like try to say like, oh, it's over sexualized, but like, yeah, that was the point. Like that was the thing that sets it apart from most Western media. It took a lot of influences from Japanese culture, like trying to be a bit edgy, trying to be a bit different, trying to be a little bit have a little bit like a little bit of an edge for it. And for Cruel and Beautiful, that's what I wanted to do, was do something that no other Western creator would have done, and I came up with that, right? And I'm very happy with the results, right? Amaris Yu has not appeared in a novel since. I toyed with the idea of having her appear in American Evil, but that's not going to happen because I wanted Soleil to have a chance to like really shine as like the main female lead. But um, I'm definitely eagerly awaiting the return of that character. I'm definitely thinking about like always thinking about like when I want her to return. And I think when she inevitably does, it's going to be really unique and interesting. Because like when I first started American Evil, like Soleil wasn't initially planned to be in it. But seeing her in it now and seeing her incorporated in the plot and seeing her be like the primary love interest when she wasn't like originally intended to be one, like that's something I think is really, really interesting for the character to take, because, she's basically a female action hero. Like she's pretty hardcore. If you've like read Cruel and Beautiful and seen some of the things she's done, like she is insane. And let's see. Yeah, she is insane. So seeing like this different aspect of her personality, seeing her like what she was like when she was younger, what she was like when she first get married, what she's like when like she has to like settle into married life, right? Seeing that, it's really interesting. It's different than what you might expect. And she struggles with that a little bit. Yeah, she's one of the strongest characters in the novel, but like she kind of struggles with being a normal person. I think that kind of makes her endearing. I really like that about her. Let's see. Let's look at the chat. What kind of books do you write? Okay, so the genre. Okay, like I try to like dabble in all sorts of genres. Like I really like experimenting, but like the thing that really ties the Codyverse together, like the things that I think really set it apart, is that I kind of classify it as its own unique brand of fantasy. It's not really unique, but like you mostly see it in like Japanese, Asian style fiction with like a focus on martial arts and like mystical elements, right? Like the term I use is battle fantasy, because I don't really see a lot of people like have a genre for this kind of thing. Like they usually call it like martial arts films, or like just Chinese movies in general, even though not every Chinese movie is a martial arts film. The term I conceptualize is battle fantasy, because it's heavily influenced by shonen battle series, but it also takes elements from a lot of other like anime genres. And one of the things I've been trying to do is incorporate plot lines from characters who aren't battle characters, right? Lauren Frey is like probably the best example of this so far, in which the protagonist doesn't fight at all. Like she has no ability to. She's like one of the weakest like people ever in a sense, and that's supposed to be like the conflict, is that she's struggling going to a university with like all of these evil creatures, some of which know like how to kill her in millions of different ways. Like that's supposed to be like what makes the Lauren Frey interesting, right? Is that she's not a character in the setting. But of course there are characters who are like super powerful and fight each other all the time and stuff like that. And that's been what most of the Codyverse has been doing so far. Obviously, I want to branch out into other genres. I want to do romance. I want to do sci-fi. I want to do all sorts of stuff. Like I want to do everything. Mysteries, I've been thinking about a lot. Like I'm gonna try to do everything. I want to have a very well-rounded career. I want to have a lot of experiment with a lot of different things. Let's see. Ha! Yeah. Okay. So American Evil is a project I'm personally really looking forward to. I'm hoping it's like going to be the next step forward for me as a creator. It's kind of kind of interesting that like it's coming out the same year as Clover Volume 4, which I first wrote back in like what was it? Yeah, legit. Right before Breath of the Wild came out. Yeah, exactly 7 years ago. I legit think it was like exactly 7 years ago, like January 19th, 2017, if I remember correctly. So yeah, about almost to the date. I finished Clover Volume 4, which that was like it was originally supposed to be like an entire novel. Like the entire all four parts of Clover were supposed to be one novel that was supposed to make me $1 billion, and I would like become a millionaire, and I would tell everybody from high school to go fuck themselves. Like that was the plan, and of course that didn't happen. Like I went on from there, and I wrote Dearly Beloved, which also didn't published. I wrote American Ninja, which also didn't get published. I wrote Lightning Ike, which is halfway done. I wrote The Black Castle, which is not even halfway done. I wrote like was it Cruel and Beautiful after that? I think it was Cruel and Beautiful after that. And then it was Eye of the Dragon, which I self-published. And then I went ahead and like because Cruel and Beautiful was already finished, I kind of self-published it with no promotion at all. And then like, I've been building up the brand since then. So it's been like it's been like a really really wild rough ride over the past couple of years. Clover Volume 4 is very similar to American Evil, like structurally. It's very similar in the sense where a bunch of witches come together and they're trying to summon forth their master to destroy the world and make it in their own image. Like I think in American Evil it's a lot more nuanced and like you have a lot more like different kinds of people like involved. Like I think in Clover Volume 4 it's a lot of generic monsters and just the protagonists like fighting with each other and stuff like that. Clover took a lot of influence from Yu Yu Hakusho specifically. Like it was supposed to have like four powerful female characters, and they were supposed to be interesting, and they were supposed to have like cool like conflicts and stuff with each other and stuff like that while they go on their crazy adventures. Like it was a lot of fun. I really really enjoyed writing Clover at the time. But like yeah, because it never went anywhere, I've kind of lost my enthusiasm for it. Like even now that like Volume 4 is being published, I find myself like not really enthusiastic about it. Like it was such a long time ago. I feel very very far removed from it. Like I'm not sure if I'll ever like finish the story at this point. It's like it's one of those things where like I think that novel, I suppose I should call it a novel, was a very important part of like establishing my brand. Like I see it as like being the point where I kind of realize what I wanted to do creatively and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like okay, but it's not the greatest thing ever or anything. And I think it does get like pretty good after I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it gets good ever, honestly. It just feels so rough. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit harsh on it, but like, yeah, I feel like it's definitely going to be like the worst novel I have currently published. Like, Dearly Beloved and American Ninja are probably a lot worse. And I haven't looked at American Ninja in years, so I have no idea about that one. But with Dearly Beloved, like, it was straight up unpublishable. Like, it made no sense near the end. I had an entire chapter that was just garbage. So I trashed it and like decided I would write the entire thing again, but never got around to it. Never got around to publishing it. Like I got a question today about Dearly Beloved. Like I legit made a YouTube comment talking about it like years and years ago, and I got a bunch of likes. And someone asked me today when it was coming out, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm sorry, sister. It was a girl. I'm just like, I'm sorry, sis. like I don't know when it's gonna happen. Like I'm trying. Like I'm trying my best here, but I don't know when it's gonna happen. Like it's definitely like of like the older projects. Now that I'm like done with Clover, like Dearly Beloved is definitely next on the list. Like it might be a lot sooner than you think, but like I had to like rewrite it. I'm gonna have to edit it a lot. Like I again, that one was pretty rough too. But like I actually made the decision that like okay, we're gonna fix all these problems. We're gonna edit it. We're gonna release it. It's gonna be great. And yeah, I just never got around to it. Like every time I do it, I'm just kind of like, no. Like there's just so much wrong with it, and there's so much good too. Like it's probably the best out of the novels that I've haven't published yet. It's certainly the most unique. It's a romance, so it's supposed to be like this light as like really fluffy like fantasy adventure thing, like more fluffy, like it legit real talk. I legit was trying to emulate the Kingdom Hearts feeling of like going on this adventure with someone you really care about, and getting into these situations that just always work out, and just it's very very unique. I really really love the book. I really do. And yet like I haven't been able to release it yet. I haven't been able to justify it because I'm still building my brand. I'm still doing this. Like I wrote that book in a month, and yeah, that experience was like very 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 good for me. It really shows how quickly I can put this stuff out if I really put my mind to it and just do nothing else. But like yeah, yeah, the book is unpublishable right now, and yeah, it's gonna be a while before I can get around to finishing it. Especially since I'm focusing on the stuff that I'm actually going to release. The big thing right now, I think, is finishing up Lord Frey. That's been the project I've been thinking about the most of coming back to, and I actually took the time to like get started on part two of Lauren Frey. Right, I do think I'm going to like be prioritizing Lauren Frey after American Evil is finished. I do think that's going to be the thing I do while I plan out the next unannounced title, which I've already started working on. Like there are a handful of there are a lot of books I'm working on at once that I'm planning, and like a lot of them aren't going to come to fruition, like because there's just so much going on. But like yeah, Lauren Frey 2 part 2 is definitely going to be the priority, and I think uh, I'm simply going to finish what I already started. Okay, so it's not going to be a new book. I think what's going to happen is that I'm going to take the PDF file that has Lauren Frey in it, and I'm going to actually, I already started doing this. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to take the PDF file that has Lauren Frey in it. I'm going to take that document and I'm going to write more. I'm going to add more on what happens next. I'm going to finish the story, and then I'm going to upload it to Amazon. It's going to be a free update. Okay, so Lauren Frey Part 2, confirming it now. I made this decision a long while ago, but I decided I might as well confirm it now. Yes, I do intend on releasing Part 2 of Lauren Frey as a free update. Just as an apology for releasing like a novel that kind of feels unfinished. I wasn't happy with the way it ended. Wasn't happy with the way I rushed it towards the end. I think it's not great. Um, so yeah, I think I am gonna try and come back to Lauren Frey and make it really really good. And time will tell if I'll do the same with Rabbit Hole. But um, I've had some ideas on what I want to do with Rabbit Hole. But I think with Lauren Frey, focusing on finishing that should be the priority. Like going forward when it comes to like these older projects. But yeah, Lauren Frey, and then probably Dearly Beloved, and then like who knows, like new projects that will come next year. I think is the big thing that I'll be talking about like in the second half of the year, is like, oh, what's coming out next. Right now it's like American Evil is the one that I really 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 want to sell to people. Pre-orders, the pre-order links are in the descriptions. Actually, I think the entire Amazon store is in the description. So why don't you just go down there and buy every single book there? It's just okay. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. So gaming news. Like, has anything happened today? Like, I just saw Review Tech USA do I'm quitting video. Like I saw Review Tech USA do this thing where he's sitting there and he's trying to tell us like, boy, I can't do this anymore, guys. Like reading news articles on YouTube is a lot of work. I think what's actually happening, first of all, YouTube ad revenue is going way down. Like, I noticed this. Other people have noticed this. A bunch of other YouTubers are quitting. Like, I speculated that that was the reason why they're quitting, is that, like, YouTube is becoming unviable for big creators, right? It's becoming more and more obvious that it's not really a career thing anymore. And I've always maintained that. I've always said that. But, you know, Review Tech USA is sitting there. He's just like, oh, I can't do this anymore, guys. It's so hard. please subscribe to my live streams. I like them way more. I love the live streams, guys, but these news articles, they're killing. It's a lot like Nick Rekieta, right? How he thinks that, like, doing trial streams is too hard. Like, oh, I can't do that. It's too much work. You know, like, it's same kind of energy to it, where, like, someone who's been doing this for a long time is burned out, has no idea what to do, needs to, like, keep those viewer base up, but, you know, isn't able to move away from his gimmick of, like, talking about lolcows and talking about tech. Actually, I would argue he's more of a lolcow channel at this point, because, like, I saw he did a video on Chugga Conroy, and, like, you know, he's constantly, like, making DSP jokes and talking about all sorts of things. He did a stream on me, actually. That's how desperate he is for, like, any kind of clout, that he'll talk about Harmon Smith, a channel with, like, just over 1,000 subs. That is how desperate he is, right? Like, he legit responded to me for some reason. I don't know what the deal was. I think it was, I didn't watch the stream. I think it was because I was making fun of him a lot for the Switch 2 thing. Or, like, being critical of Nintendo or whatever. Like, typical things, right? Like, it was weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I've been talked about by big YouTubers before. You know, Jim Sterling alluded to me in, like, a conversation with Laura Kate Dale. I remember that pretty clearly. You know, of course, you have, like, the drama channels, but, like, I don't know. Is Rich the biggest channel that's ever responded to me? I can't think of anyone else. But yeah, Rich is, like, a complete joke. You know, like, I think that's a big reason why his channel is dying, is because, like, anybody who knows who he is, like, just hates his guts. You know, he's made a bad name for himself in, like, the side-scrollers community, how he's been, like, attacking Melanie Mack and Craig and those guys. Like, well, I mean, Melanie Mack is a grifter, let's be real here. But, like, at the same time, Rich is worse, okay? Like, whatever you think about Melanie Mack, like, I'm sure Rich is worse. Like, I'm sure if you put me in a room with, like, Melanie Mack and Review Tech USA, I'd rather go hang out with Melanie Mack. You know, like, I mean, that's not that that's a hard choice to make or anything, but, like, I'd rather do that, okay, than hang out with, like, Rich's gigantic ass, right? Like, he's looking over at me, like kissing a chicken, and I'm, like, just moving over to the girl. Like, of course I would do that. Like, who would ever talk to Review Tech USA in any context? You know, I wouldn't talk about video games. Like, Melanie Mack probably plays more video games than he does. Like, I know she played Fire Emblem Engage. That gives him, like, that gives her infinitely more credibility than he has, right? Like, I don't think Review Tech USA plays games at all. Like, I don't think Angry Joe does. You know, looking at that top 10 games of the year list. Yeah, what are Rich's top 10 game of the year lists? Like, what does he actually play? Because all I see is from him is videos, like, saying that, like, oh, man, the Switch 2 is going to struggle competing against the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. And I'm just sitting here thinking that, like, yeah, the Steam Deck that sold 3 million units, you know, a quarter of what the Wii U managed in its entire lifetime. You know, like, the Steam Deck is done, okay? It's not relevant. It was never a thing. It was never a big deal. Like, Rich needs to stop. He needs to stop. And of course, there's, like, the lolcow thing. Like, I think that's the big thing that, like, marks the end of all, like, YouTube channels, is just, like, the massive fixation on, like, lolcows. Like, look at this guy who's more of a clown than I am, right? Like, you see this all the time. Like, people do this with me a lot, where they're just like, oh man, look at this goofy guy who still plays Nintendo games. Like, oops. Like, despite being an 1,000-year-old vampire, right? Like, look at this guy. Just look at this guy who's like embarrassing himself, like saying that he likes the Switch. You know, like, oh, how could this guy like ever think that Switch is better than gaming PCs? I bet he doesn't even own a gaming PC. Like, we've never seen it. There's nothing like it. Like, it's not like he streamed games on his gaming PC before. It's not like we can easily go and check, but oh, like, we're just going to pretend he doesn't have one, because there's no way that any serious gamer would prefer a Switch to a high-end gaming PC, right? Like, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. Rich is terrible. Yeah. Why does Melody Mac get so much hate? I think the pendulum is starting to swing back. And so, like, a lot of people like Melanie are, like, catching on to the fact that, like, oh, yeah, if I, like, spout Bible verses and I start, like, condemning homosexuality and I start talking about, how about how communism doesn't work, like, you're gonna get a lot of support for that. You know, Side Scrollers is growing really rapidly because they're talking about these issues, right? Because they're, like, talking about how bad things have gotten and how, like, ridiculous the ideology is, how bad the message is, how bad, like, how companies like Disney are, like, just ruining themselves, right? Like, it's become a standard thing to the point where, like, a lot of people are grifting off of it. And I think Melanie Mac is way more successful at it than most people, because, like, I feel like I felt this way for a while. Like, fascism will come back in style the instant some pretty girl says it's, like, okay. And then, like, all of her simps are gonna, like, just go for it, right? Like, that's kind of my mindset, is that, like, is that, like, everyone is just following what some authority figure says. But, like, you know, if you do this thing where, like, you say that, like, oh, you spend your entire you spend people's entire lives, like, indoctrinating them to, like, oh, you have to listen to women, you have to respect their opinions, you have to respect their body choice, and then you have someone like Melanie Mac come along, and she's just like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't have sex before marriage, you know, we should do this and this, you know, like, homosexuality is a bad thing, and then, like, it kind of flips on itself, where, like, the things that they introduce, the ideas that they introduce to ruin society, like, just implode on themselves, because, like, people like that push back against it, and because, like, so many people will go along with it, right? Like, this happens all the time, but, like, it's really interesting to see happen in real time. Like, it really does feel like woke culture is at its end, and I think a big part of it is that, like, so many of these millennials are in their 40s now. They're childless, they're alone, they're miserable, right? Like that gay writer who did that, like, Harry Potter blog back in the day, Mark Oshiro, the one I always bring up. Like, that guy had his partner die of an STD, and then he went into, like, some depressive spiral, and I think he's like a they them now. Like, it just goes to show you just, like, what happens to these people, that, like, all the things they say about how they're normal and how, like, they're perfectly well adjusted human beings. It's all just a code. It's always been a code. And Melanie Mac, I think, is kind of doing a good job, like, emphasizing that, because, like, it's weird, like, how I say things like lesbians don't exist, and seeing it, like, kind of get, like, a positive reception. Like, more people are catching on to the fact that it is true. And there's still a lot of pushback to it, but it's all delusional from people who are addicted, from dudes who are addicted to lesbian porn. So it's like, okay, how is that going to stick? Like, it becomes more and more obvious that, like these ideas that these people had just do not work. And the alternatives are just going to become more and more popular. And even if you're, like, not a sincere believer in, like, the opposite ideology, like, I'm sure, I am 100% sure that, like, Melanie Mac was a hoe, that she's just an e-thought. But, like, she's still popularizing the views, right? Like she's still like spreading like positive message to people, and like people are enjoying that. People like that about her, and people are the industry is having a hard time downplaying it. Like it's well, I say the industry, but like the establishment is having a hard time downplaying it. Like it's crazy the kind of things I see like openly stated on Twitter, on YouTube, on the comment sections. Like the narrative is collapsing, right? Like it feels more and more like if you're out of the college system and if you're still like trying to keep yourself informed and like read a lot and like learn about the world and stuff like that, like you are going to become more conservative as you get older. Like I've been saying that for a long time, but I think it's becoming more and more true, right? Like a lot of these people are just doing the things they're doing because they think it's easy, and it's because like it's the right thing to do. No, they don't think that at all. Because like a lot of the people who are going along with this like ultra super liberal stuff, they're not thinking about it. They don't care about what's actually happening. Like what they care about is like virtue signaling and status, right? We saw this with Gerard, right, where he came out and he's always been a virtue signaling like a guy, right? But when his back is pressed against the wall, when he's talking about like talking to Carl Jobst about like losing everything he has, like what does he say? That like he makes it pretty clear that he's mostly concerned about himself. He's mostly concerned about like his business and his operations. Like never mind everything he's done wrong with like the charity fraud and like for the gaming community and everything that's been happening. Like no, like I need to have my channel like raking in the dosh. I need to have like this charity fraud going. Like please, like look at all the good I've done. Like please leave me alone. It's like you do get this like impression that virtue signalers are just using virtue signaling to mask like their evil deeds, right? Straight up like just malicious evil things they're doing to people. And I think I wonder if that's becoming more and more well known by the general public. I do feel more and more as if like I don't trust people who virtue signal. Like I see them as like very ignorant as to like the actual issues and what's actually going on. And I think Gerard is a really, really good example as to like why. Like he is the stereotypical like wholesome internet personality who professes super like progressive values, who doesn't really practice any of it. And I think that's really obvious if you look into like what his background is like and things like that. It's just a method to grift, basically. You got this with ProZD as well. You got this with like a lot of other people. Like they're doing this to further their careers, is what it comes down to. Let's see. Add mods to the channel. An old pro gamer. Like, how old is she? I'm so confused. Like, is she... I don't know. Like, Shoe on Head is like 30 now. I'm shocked she's that young. Well, like, I thought she was, young? Yeah, I thought she was, like, about that age, I don't know, 10 years ago. It's weird how, like, she's not that... I don't know. Like, all these Gamergate personalities were, like, a lot younger than I thought they were. Like, I never actually bothered, like, looking into them, because, like, I thought they were all grifters even back then. But, like, Shoe on Head had a couple of videos that I laughed at, like, laughing at feminists and stuff like that. But, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird seeing that, like, a lot of these personalities are, like, my age now or whatever. Like, it's crazy how young a lot of these people got started. Like, the reason I didn't get started, like, right away when, like, YouTube was starting being popular, it was purely because of my location and, like, the lack of funds to build a brand, basically. Like, I really wonder what would have happened if I could have, like, done gaming YouTube, like, right when it was starting to get popular, around, like, 2013 or so, if I was, like, able to do that. Because I was interested in it from a long time. Like, I thought to myself that, like, oh, yeah, I could do videos better than those idiots at, like, that guy with the glasses, right? The average idiot at that guy with the glasses. I could make, like, $20,000 a year doing that. And I could just, like, rent an apartment somewhere and don't leave and just consume media all day and live my ideal life. But it didn't happen, right? It didn't happen. We are closer to him noticing. What noticing what? Like noticing what exactly? What did you mean by that? Short head looks old? Yeah, for sure. 37. She's that old? Like like a couple of years ago when she had like the black haircut, like the short like I legit was like, bro, I would. Like I would be shocked if she was that old. But like yeah, I don't like the red haired look for sure. Like I always thought she was a thought. Like that was like the joke back then was that like, oh yeah, I'll do her and then like never talk to her again. That was like my mindset when I saw that like pic of her in the gym. I'm just like, yeah, she's a thought, but really, ah, is a gym trainer? Oh really? Mods? Like who? What do I need mods for? Like my streams aren't that active. Like it's not that big of a deal. The mods I do get like do their jobs. I don't really feel as if I don't know. Like there are legit concerns about like giving moderation privileges to people I don't like trust absolutely. So like that is a real concern. Um, Especially right now with like getting rated and stuff like that. It's just like I don't know. The rating kind of stopped after I called it out like the other day when I did that live stream addressing what Justin Diems was doing and what was going on with like the. Let's darken the screen. It's a little bit bright. How do I? With like Justin Diems and stuff like that. Like I thought there would I thought it would continue a little bit after that, but I haven't really seen anything. Right? Like it really does feel as if I make so many videos and like these guys have to like single out like the content they want to cover. Like basically all they do is just talk about the videos that like where I make fun of PC gaming over and over again. It's getting kind of boring, honestly. Like I don't know. Like that's the thing. It's that like it's only the PC gamers who care when I make fun of their platform of choice. And I suppose like it's because nobody really takes Xbox or PlayStation seriously right now, but like PC gamers are like just obsessively just crying about the PC, crying about Baldur's Gate 3. Like I was saying today, I made a YouTube short today talking about this. Baldur's Gate 3 is 100% coming to Switch eventually. You're not going to see me talk about it. You're not going to see me address it at all unless it's to make fun of it. Ace Combat 7 is coming to Switch. Like, am I going to be like, oh, Ace Combat 7 is coming, it's the best game ever? No. Because Ace Combat 7 was terrible. And it should have been on Switch to begin with. Like, that was one of those games that everyone said was like, oh, it proves the Switch was an underpowered console. But no, here it is. Like, coming with more content than it initially had, apparently. I would not mind other Ace Combat games actually. Like everyone keeps going on about how good 4 is in particular. Like give me 4. Like I own 2 on 3DS, but like yeah, I want 4 specifically. Like I really would like to play the good Ace Combat games cuz I think I enjoyed what I mean 2. I don't know. Like it's weird. I've played 2 and I've played 7, but I don't remember either of them. Like I don't think the series is as good as people make them out to be. Like that game was like one of the most shilled games, like back when it came out. I guess we could look at the channel. Maybe it's still up. Let's see.
Playing from Cody.
Yeah, I might have deleted it. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I made a video like talking about Ace Combat 7 and how like chilled it was, like for that first year or so. first 2 years or so. Like, it was a really heavily promoted game for some reason. And now, like, years later, you're finally starting to see people say that, like, yeah, it wasn't that great. But, like, now that it's coming to Switch, people are admitting it wasn't that good. But, like, yeah, the same thing's going to happen to Baldur's Gate 3. Like, people use, like, the Switch version of Mortal Kombat 1 to downplay just how big of a mess that game was. Like, how much they've stripped away from it, how bad the stories have gotten, how like over monetized everything is. I didn't see anybody talk about like the monetization practices of Mortal Kombat 1 at all. Like, I can tell you the main reason I didn't buy the game was because, like, after Mortal Kombat 11, how that had microtransactions, I was just like, woo, like, done. Like, done. I played the story mode of Mortal Kombat 11, played a lot of online mode, and I was just like, okay, that's it. I am done with Mortal Kombat, right? And I put like 40 hours into that game. Like, I'm not someone who just didn't enjoy the game. Like, I was defending Mortal Kombat 11 when it came out, but like, it's so frustrating to me that people always focus on the wrong things. Like, for Mortal Kombat, like, what are people focusing on when it comes to like the games? Like, people are always complaining about not having sexy costumes. Like, that's it. They're not talking about the story modes. They're not talking about like the single player features. They're not talking about like the multiplayer or the balance or like the lack of new characters or like anything. Like, I don't even know I don't think I've seen a single person complain about how the microtransactions in Mortal Kombat 1 are structured. And I've seen people like say like, oh, just ignore them. But like, at this point, like, considering what Gas has been doing, what like companies like Bungie have been doing, like, if I see microtransactions in a product, like, I am 100% not supporting it. Like, I'm not even giving it a free download. Like, fuck you. Like, that's how strongly I feel about that. And I think it's like becoming more common to do that. Like, I've seen people say they're not even playing for DLC. Right, Mortal Kombat 1 is still getting DLC, right? They haven't gotten all their DLC characters. Like, I've never seen gameplay footage of Homelander, right? Not that I want to, because, like, him and Omni-Man are, like, the worst characters ever introduced to a Mortal Kombat game, especially Omni-Man, who would get wrecked by Sindel. But, like, who cares about, like, the guest DLC characters in a game that wasn't that good? Like, I am legit, like, more eagerly anticipating, like, Tekken 8. Like, when Tekken 8 comes in Nintendo consoles, which I hope is soon, like, when that comes out, like, I want to see, like, Cobra Kai in there. Wouldn't that be Kino if they get, like, Johnny or something in there? Like, he's voiced by the actor and everything. Harada's a fan of Cobra Kai, so it might actually happen. We might actually get it. And then you get, like, yeah, like, Karate Kid references, a Karate Kid stage. Like, would that not be Kino? Like, would that not be awesome? Like, that's my dream for Tekken 8. Like, give us, like, a good guest character. And, like, we haven't had, like, good guest characters in, like, Namco fighting games in forever. Like, I remember we used to get, like, Link and stuff like that. Now we're getting, like, who even was, like, Geralt is in Soul Calibur 6. Geralt. And nobody cares. Like, 2B is in Soul Calibur 6. Who cares? Like, 2B and Geralt are in the same game, and nobody cares at all. Like, there's nobody making, like, porn between the two. I mean, maybe there is, but, like, I look at, like, that. I look at, like, allegedly the biggest video game franchises of the past decade. Like, people today will still pretend, like, Nier Automata is, like, one of the greatest games ever made because of 2B's ass, Like, that's all anybody seems to care about. But, like, every time the character reappears, like, nobody really cares. Meanwhile, like, I remember what it was like when Soul Calibur 2 came out. I remember seeing Link in it, and I'm just like, holy shit. Never heard of Soul Calibur 4, never bought a Soul Calibur game 6 since, but, like, playing Soul Calibur 2 as Link was a monumental experience. It was so cool. I got to, like, fall in love with this fighting game IP and see all of these characters and, like, learn how the game works. Like, it was the first fighting game I ever really got into, right? It was my favorite fighting game ever for a long time. I'm still very, very partial to it, right? I love that game. And, like, they never did it again. They never even, like, put a real Soul Calibur game on Nintendo again because they got money hatted by Sony, even though like Scott the Woz denies it. Like he tried to say it was because of sales, but the GameCube version sold the most out of any version of the game. Like, uh, Soul Calibur was so good back in the day with its guest characters, and now who cares? Like, I don't know if anybody really cares about Garou, if anybody really cares about 2B. Because, like, whenever the characters come up, all anybody talks about is, like, oh, man, The Witcher 3, oh, best new fantasy gaming IP of 2015, right? Because nobody played 1 or 2. Like, it's the best game ever made. Geralt's such a great character. Like, why, though? Like, what makes him great? Like, no one's ever been able to explain this to me. Like just like how no one's been able to explain like what makes 2B so great, right? There's nothing there essentially. It's just smoke and mirrors, right? Like when I play Nier Automata, I think I'm actually gonna buy it on Switch and like go through the game again because I never actually finished it when I played it on Game Pass, so it might be interesting to do that. But like when I played the game, I thought the game was boring. I thought it was basic. There was nothing really to it. Uh, I the idea of banging a robot isn't appealing to me because I actually talk to real women, right? So it's like, okay, like what makes this game great? Like nobody can really give you an actual explanation. Like I think like V's top 100 games of all time list, like Nier Automata was like crazy high on it. It was like number 5. And you just know the only reason it's being talked about is because of like 2B's ass. 2B's ass has carried this game into relevancy for almost a decade. You know, Yoko Taro hasn't produced anything since, but like, yeah, every single time people will like hype this up as like some glorious project. It's not even a particularly good Platinum game. Like that's the thing that really bugs me about it is that like, you know, Bayonetta was better. Like it's like Astral Chain was better. No, 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 no. Not only was Astral Chain better, it had a better ass. Like, female Akira, I know she's supposed to be your sister, but like, you know, looking at like, you know, as an outside observer who is not related to her, you know, like as a gamer, like when you actually look at female Akira's ass, like you see that like it's just pure perfection, right? It's so much better than 2B's, right? Like the shorts are like, you know, you don't need the panty shots. Like the shorts are better, and like nobody wants to admit it. Like it's not something that like most people really fixate on. You know, I don't talk about that much, but like, you know, that's always been something that like bugged me was that like, what if you're so obsessed with like asses on female characters, like just talk about the Nintendo characters, right? Talk about the characters that are actually like better than the Square Enix ones or whatever. Because like, you know, female Akira's better, Bayonetta's better. You know, like there are just so many better Platinum chicks than fucking 2B. You know, like 2B is not even a real human being. Like for all you know, she has a giant detachable dong. Like, but like, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, Rockstar abandoned Red Dead 2. That is really interesting to me that they did that. That they failed so hard to make Red Dead 2 like relevant long term. That is really really interesting to me. Now, I know a lot of people really love Red Dead 2, but uh it definitely seems as if it definitely seems as if like people are desperately trying to like pretend that like Red Dead 2 was not a massive downgrade from the original. I don't like the original, right? Just like I don't like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. But like when you compare those games to what they came after, when you compare like Bully to what came after, like there was like a very clear decline in quality, right? They used to have like creative environments. They used to have good characters. They used to have funny moments. They used to like feel like legit actual products that people would play. But now they're like entirely reliant on like the brand, right? They're entirely reliant on like the idea that Rockstar is edgy, right? That Rockstar is the most mature video game franchise for mature gamers there is. And it's not really a narrative that I think really sticks, because like anybody who thinks critically about Red Dead 2 doesn't really like it all that much. Like there are like hardcore fanboys who will stand by it, but I think another couple of entries and people are going to start falling off of it. That people are going to start thinking that like, wow, the last game was better. The first game was better, right? Well, by the first game I mean the original Red Dead Redemption, but you know what I mean. Like it's only a matter of time now until people who grew up with this stuff are just like, you know, the old games were better, right? Because they're not innovating. They're getting worse, right? They're becoming increasingly linear. Like there's no real growth in these franchises. And I think with Red Dead 2, and that was really obvious to the audience, because I don't think Red Dead left as much of an impact on gaming as Grand Theft Auto did, right? Like I think all the memes about Red Dead with like the story and like everything that made it like really popular. It's like it's not something that they ever could have done like a sequel to. And yeah, they failed really epically with that, with like having the woke culture and just like the what they did with that game. It's appalling, really. I More people really need to call out how woke Red Dead actually is, how woke Grand Theft Auto actually is, because you just know that when like Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, people are gonna say, I've already seen people do this where they've said that like Grand Theft Auto used to be based, but like in reality, it's like the most degenerate video game franchise there is, right? Like you just will not accept it because you grew up with it, right? It's just like Blazing Saddles. It's just like Star Trek. It's just like George Carlin. You think it's good because you were told it was good, but in reality, like it was like always stupid. It was always like insipid. It was always trying to like manipulate you into believing things that aren't true about the world and uh, about our culture and about people and stuff like that. And it's really disgusting, honestly. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 6 is not even coming to PC. So we're going to be in this weird situation where like PC gamers are going to be coping for like a year until they finally get their PC version. Like they're going to be saying the game is mid until it comes out, and then I don't know. It's going to be a weird situation. Like Switch owners still don't have Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's not something that like particularly concerns me a lot. Like the game is 11 years old. I don't care, but like it's really noticeable that it's not on the console. Like I really don't think Nintendo needs it. And I do think that should be the goal, is that like people should just stop buying Grand Theft Auto. That it should just be acknowledged that it's for degenerates and that it's not like really something that you should be supporting or playing. I just don't care for it at all. I don't respect the audience. I don't respect the Arthur isn't. You would be hard pressed to find anybody who would even like consider Arthur like a good rock star protagonist. He's not as popular as John Marston. Like there was absolutely no way that Arthur would ever eclipse Marston in popularity, and that has proven itself to be very true. Like I don't know anybody who seriously thinks Arthur is like a great video game protagonist. It's embarrassing. Yeah. It's hard to believe it's only Saturday. Like it feels like the past couple of days have gone on forever, and I just don't know why. Uh, let's see. Is there anything else going on? I would love to like just randomly just tune into YouTube and see that like, oh, Nintendo Direct confirmed for today or something. Like I would love to just see that, but it just isn't happening. Oh, look at it. Okay, Justin Diems has in the past hour has done two community posts on me. Holy shit. Black Cat Book 64 has never played FPS games before, nor does he realize that they're best played on PC, as they were designed with a mouse and keyboard in mind in regards to gameplay. Keep trying, Harmon. Every once in a blue moon, you get one right. Yeah, I don't. There's definitely this weird PC gaming like conspiracy to downplay GoldenEye, because like it's always been them that's doing it. Because I remember people like trying to say GoldenEye was stale and outdated in like 2008, when that wasn't true even then. So like the PC gaming community is just embarrassingly fixated on this idea of like acting as if PC FPS games are like these incredible experiences, but they're really just not all that interesting. Like I like Doom for what it is, but to say it's better than GoldenEye is laughable. Like in GoldenEye, you actually have like mission objectives and like complex enemy and AI and just more of a variety of weapons. More level variety, right? In Doom, it's just like the same kind of area over and over and over again, right? And it's fun for what it is, but like, is it more technical than GoldenEye? Does it take more skill than GoldenEye? Like, it doesn't take more intelligence? Like, no, I don't think so, right? And besides, like, Doom was ported to Super Nintendo anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. Like, what are you trying to prove? Like, Doom has to be like one of the more overrated gaming IPs there is, because there definitely is like this community of people who are just dedicated to pretending as if it's like some untouchable like super franchise, when in reality it's not all that great, like all that popular. Like I remember when Eternal was coming out, and people were legit arguing that like, oh man, Animal Crossing is gonna get wrecked launching on the same day as Doom Eternal, and what happens? Like Isabel just whips out her giant like shovel and just shoves it right up Doom guy's ass, right? Like it's just like it was crazy how that played out, and people just don't. Oh, hang on, oops. Yeah, the chat wasn't updating for some reason. GoldenEye is outdated. I just played it on stream last night. It's still fun. Like I played through the train level. Like I played through the depot level. Like it's crazy how much variety you get. Like going from each stage. Like the train level has you like doing an escape sequence. Like it feels like you're playing a James Bond scene. Like it's really well put together, right? Like it's so good. Like people do not give GoldenEye enough credit. Like it is probably one of the most downplayed Nintendo games there is, because for a long time it was like one of the defining titles of the N64 lineup. It's so weird to me how so many people like try to write that one off. And it's like out of desperation, if anything, like they can't allow Nintendo to be seen as being part of the FPS scene, like putting out such a classic game. So they've spent like the past like almost 25 years just downplaying this thing. It's crazy. The more successful game, Pow World is more successful than Pokemon, according to Justin Diems. Let's review that. Pow World sold at least 1 million units in 8 hours alone. Pokemon sells 20 times that day one. Okay? Like, can we stop pretending as if, like, these random PC games that just explode in popularity are ever going to compete with Pokemon? Like, can we stop pretending that? Like, really? Like, how much has Temtem sold? Like, how relevant is Temtem right now? Temtem sales numbers. Developer Crema and publisher Humble Graves have announced that their MMORPG Temtem has reached a total of 1 million players across all platforms. Really? Really? Oh, it sold 1 million. That's a lot, right? Pokemon's gonna get wrecked by a game selling 1 million copies. Dragon Quest Monsters sold that much. Is anybody gonna come out and say that, like, oh, Dragon Quest Monsters is bigger than Pokemon now? Like, no. Probably because that was a Nintendo Switch exclusive, right? But when it comes to these Pow World things, when it comes to like Stream Bait, suddenly like Pokemon is in dire threat. Like Pokemon is under threat. Like Game Freak is gonna have to let Toby Fox take over everything if they're ever gonna be popular again, right? That's legit the mindset. It's embarrassing. Yeah, like Power World is 100% AstroTurf, and I think this is one of those instances where it's like really, really obvious it's happening. With Baldur's Gate 3, they tried to make it look plausible, where like, oh look, a lot of people are playing this game, yada yada yada. Like it's really well received. But with like Power World, they're doing this thing where like, oh man, this thing, it sold 1 million units in 8 hours, and it has 55 million, 550,000 players on Steam at 2 a.m. in the morning, right? Like, it is the biggest success story of the year so far. Like, and it's just like one of those things, like, can we stop pretending that we care about player counts? Can we stop pretending as if we care about, like, how popular a game is? Like, does that indicate quality at all? Is that like a power level thing now where you can just, oh, well, how many people are playing my game? Oh man, it's only being played by 50,000 people. I guess I should drop it because it must not be that good. Like, does anybody do that ever? Like, no, that is not a thing that happens, right? Nobody cares how much people on Steam are playing a game. And honestly, after Baldur's Gate 3 and this, I'm not even sure. I don't believe those numbers, right? I straight up do not believe them. Like, I already know for a fact that the Steam best-selling list is fake. It's like dishonest because it goes by how much money they pull in through the software. So in theory, like something with a lot of microtransactions will like always be at the top, right? And that's why you see Steam Deck always at the top, because like you have to put so much money into it to get one. But like they're not actually moving all that many units. So like the best selling list on Steam is like it's deliberately misleading. Like it's not actually the games that people are buying the most. It's like it's based on how much money they spend in that game. So like the list is like completely wrong. So yeah, it's not that like a lot of people play on Steam anyway, but it's like I don't know, like I don't know who made Power World, but like I'm getting a lot of like Genshin Impact vibes from this. I'm getting a lot of like Honkai Star Rail. Like I'm really tired of people blitzing my social media feed, like crying about how these games are like the best thing ever for like a weekend, and then they just like get forgotten in like a week. You know, Temtem was like that. Like, and I'm sure Power World's gonna be the same. Like these flavor of the month games just are never ever going to eclipse Pokemon relevancy. It just isn't gonna happen. And like I was saying that before I even looked at like the Pokemon designs and realized they're just recolors of Pokemon. Like they have like a grass type Cinderace and stuff like that. Like I saw like a Galarian Meowth or something. Like no, it's like a Delcatty but with like Meowth's facial features or something. Like it's weird. But like I would seriously argue that if it's not a Chinese product, Nintendo could probably Game Freak, the Pokemon Company probably could go after them. I don't know if that's like viable for them, but like the characters look so similar, and like the fact that so much of the marketing is like focused on attacking Pokemon specifically, it's very Sonic the Hedgehog ish. Like that's kind of what this new Chinese propaganda thing is looking like to me. Is like Sonic the Hedgehog again, and that we all know how that ended, right? I mean, I don't see anybody getting attached to these brands the same way people got attached to Sonic, but like, because there's just so many other alternatives now. But like, yeah, like I'm getting really tired of people seriously thinking that like 2D Mario is gonna get eclipsed by some random game. You know, I'm so tired of people getting excited over things that streamers are playing. You know, I'm so excited of, I'm so tired of like hearing about some random thing that's like supposedly way better than Pokemon but it's basically like just a ripoff, right? Like, I've just gotten done like playing through Harvest Moon 64. It's still better than Stardew Valley, right? And like the fanboys will deny it. I've talked about this for years, but like Stardew Valley is a blatant ripoff of Harvest Moon, and you won't see the audience admit it at all. It's embarrassing. Yeah, I'm curious if like the Power World thing is gonna collapse because we all saw what happened with Yokai Watch. Yeah, Yokai Watch probably had like the most momentum out of any Pokemon competitor in the modern era. Like we were hearing for months about how it was like bigger than Pokemon in Japan, how it was like how it successfully managed to get an anime and like a merchandise line, and how it was like really really taking off in the country, right? And what happens? It implodes within like a couple of games, right? The entire thing just collapses, and like they never managed to like make it big in the West. They could never get it take off. Like they completely failed in that regard, and you'll never hear people acknowledge it, right? And I'll still to this day make fun of Yokai Watch, but like it's the same kind of thing. It is that like in theory, even if Power World was competitive with Pokemon, it's not. They would just coexist, right? Pokemon and Digimon coexisted before Pokemon was like an established gargantuan brand, right? And of course, Digimon fell off because they weren't able to establish a formula that worked. Like I still to this day have never really gotten into any Digimon games, right? Like I don't understand this. Like they make it so clear what happens in like the anime. That's always been like my impression of it is that you get a partner Digimon and you just interact with it until it becomes more powerful. But like the games always do this weird thing. Like I don't know why they always shove Terriermon in your face. Like I don't the naming convention makes no sense. Like Digimon is just wildly different every time I see it. It's like impossible to like get attached to anything they're doing. Like I don't even, I'm not even completely sure like who owns Pokemon Digimon. It's Bandai Namco, right? Like that's weird to think about. That like it had such a monumental, like hugely successful anime. Like I've seen people say it's like legit. Digimon Adventure is like legit the best kids anime of like the '90s. And going by what I've seen of it, I haven't seen it in years, but like going by what I remember of it, I agree. Like that shit is like prime Kino. And of course, I really like Frontiers and like Tamers as well. Did I just get Tamers and Frontiers confused? That's so weird, man. Ah, yeah, I used to really love those shows. It's weird that like there are all these kid shows that I used to love that I just don't remember all that much. Like I remember the original Digimon Adventure because like I've seen it relatively recently. Like whenever I go back to Digimon, like I always think about going back to that one specifically. But like I saw Tamers, I saw Frontiers. Like that stuff was phenomenal, right? I loved that thing. The whole like it was such a good evolution for the brand. But yeah, like the anime just kind of I don't know. Did they stop making new ones? Like, how did they fall off exactly? Because I don't remember seeing anything after Frontiers. Like, I don't even think I saw the ending to that. It's frustrating. I really got to get back. I really would like to see them again someday. I really would. But of course, I say that about a lot of kids media, and I'm just like, would it be as good as I remember it being? Like, I watched SWAT Cats on my tablet when I was sick. I watched like the first couple of episodes, and that shit was like prime Kino. If anything, it was like better than I remembered it. So I'm really thinking that like eventually I'm gonna go back and watch other stuff. But yeah, I have like such a weird backlog. Like I don't have time to watch anything at all. Like I legit before I went live, I was watching Fist of the North Star. Like I just randomly brought it up, and I was watching like Ken. He was interacting with that new girl like in the Village of Flowers, and then like Ray shows up. Like I legit stopped watching after the end of season 1. Right, I'm on season 2 now, and like I watched this episode, and it's so good. I'm into it so much, and then like I have to go live, and I legit don't know like when I'm gonna come back and finish it. Right, and that's a show I really really enjoy. The Apothecary Diaries. I was really enjoying that. Never watched it. Never managed to finish it. I watched like the first episode of like The Adventure of Dai. Prime Kino if you're a Dragon Quest fan. Never watched past that. Like what else do I have? Like Uh, don't even get me started on my Audible backlog. Let's see, Prime Video. No, that's Prime Video. Yeah, we're looking at Crunchyroll, anime. Yeah, anime alone is just insane to me. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Oh, that's the browsing page. Okay, my list. Yeah, Fist of the North Star, Berserk, The Apothecary Diaries, One Piece. Well, I put One Piece on the background. I am officially caught up with One Piece, by the way. As of last night, I read all of Volume 104. So like I am caught up with all of the One Piece episodes. Yeah, Spy Family, which is great. Spy Family, weirdly enough, is like the only series I'm reading the. I am keeping up with both the anime and the manga. That's crazy. Golden Kamuy, reading the manga. Prime Kino, love it. Mob Psycho, really gotta watch season 3. Angel Cop. Gee, I wonder if this particular show is censored in any way, shape, or form. Like I know the only reason on here is because of certain reasons, but yeah, Rurouni Kenshin, the remake. Really enjoyed what I watched of it, but I don't know. Like I watched so I started doing comparison videos to the original 90s one, and I think it's better. I don't know why they didn't just adapt the rest of it. It doesn't make any sense to me to like start from the beginning and make it worse. Like there's just that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Jujutsu Kaisen, Cowboy Bebop, yeah, I gotta get back to that. Hellsing, uh, yeah, Doctor Stone, Assassination Classroom. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I have on here that I would like to see, and I just never got around to it. Dragon Ball Z, Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, there's like so much good stuff that I desperately want to watch, but like, yeah, like when am I gonna have time? Like even during like when I was sick, I wasn't like watching anything really. Like I watched a couple of episodes of SWAT Cats, but that's it. Like I don't know. It's gonna be really difficult getting caught up with all this stuff. And honestly, like I'm at the point now where I'm not even sure I really want to, because like I'm making my own stuff. Yeah, you know, like I'm making American Evil. Like that to me is like more interesting than anything like I'll ever read again ever probably. Like it's very uncommon for me to like read a book or a series that I'm like just over the moon about. Like Robin Hobb has been like the best source of like fantasy for me in a long while, and I'm not super crazy about her work. I think she's has her strong points, but I really don't. Hmm. At the same time, I'm not sure if it's like the greatest thing ever either. You know what I mean? Like I like it for what it is for sure, but like is it spectacular? Like I don't know. I don't think it is. But you know, it doesn't need to be either. So that's kind of my mindset on it. Do I have a plan to clean out the stalkers in the Discord? Yeah, I closed down the ability to send out links to the Discord. So like no new people shouldn't be coming in. I don't know if that's like been done properly. I think it has been. But like yeah, I definitely do need to deal with that. There needs to be like a kind of purge going on there. Like I suppose like I could just verify like the trustworthy people and then just start a new Discord, but like I don't know if that's necessary. Like I'm happy with the way things are. I don't think the spies are really like showing anybody anything that like I wouldn't say in public anyway. Like it's like okay, whatever. Like the spies are the kind of people who like look worse than the people they're spying on. You know, so every time they release information, like nobody really cares. It's like, oh, Harmon Smith like has political views. Well, yeah, obviously, like everybody has views on what's going on today. It's not that big of a deal. Like, yeah, Sports Illustrated. Yeah, I saw that too. Um, I think every magazine is like going under now. Probably because like magazines were pretty woke for a long time. Um, Not a huge loss, I would say. Like I think it's gonna be really hard to like push wokeness onto people because like so many people are just like rejecting it. Like they used to have these established brands that they could use to like sneak wokeness onto you. Like I know Playboy did that. I know Sports Illustrated did. I know like there were a lot of they've been doing this forever. But like if you can just select your entertainment, like if you can like just do basic pattern recognition, like you get to avoid all of that stuff. Like it's crazy how like I personally don't get exposed to all that much woke stuff. Meanwhile, everyone else is complaining about Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever. Meanwhile, I'm reading a lot of stuff. Like I complain about Robin Hobb and like the way she writes female characters. How she had the brilliant idea, oh, let's have a man and a woman stand guard together and let's have them flirt. And I'm just like, this is why you don't have male and female guards together, like ever. Right? Like, this is why it doesn't happen. And again, like, she definitely has this, like, she's definitely a feminist. I don't know. Like, I've been wondering about this for a while, is that, like, my female characters are fighters, but, like, they come off as less forced than, Robin Hobbs do, or, like, what J.K. Rowling does, I think. Like, it's weird, because, like, I'm a pretty avowed, like, anti-feminist, but, like, a meninist, if you will. I don't know if that's the term to use, but, like, I'm pretty anti-feminist. So I don't know. It's weird that like my female characters are like stronger and more proactive than like the characters of people who are like allegedly feminists. Like people have been talking about this is that like, even like feminists don't really like girl boss characters, right? They say they do. They say they're going to be the future, but like in reality nobody likes them, right? Because they're just not relatable at all. Like men don't like them, women don't want to be them. It's like, yeah, like people like the traditionally female characters. Like I think that's one of the weird things about like the Mario movie about Princess Peach is that like Peach is actually becoming more popular than traditional Disney princesses because like she manages to balance being feminine and being like a video game character. Like she does that better than I think any Disney princess before it. Like Peach mogs like all of those girls as of like the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I think this is gonna be more obvious with like the release of Princess Peach Showtime, but like Peach is just better than every Disney princess. She can bake, she can do kung fu, she can sword fight. Like she can act apparently. Like, how many Disney princesses do any of that? Like, oh, Mulan won a war. Yeah, through a complete fluke. Like, the most contrived circumstance ever. And she got expulsed after that for being a woman. Like, again, Peach would have done all of that without having to pretend to be a man, right? Peach would have been on it. Yeah, Mother Three has blatant communist overtones. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't like Mother Three. Like I've kind of spoken out about that. Is that like when I actually played the game, like I own a physical copy of it. Yeah, it's like a cartridge that has the English translation on it. Like I have Mother Three, and I played it, and I'm just kind of like, this game really isn't very good. And I have to wonder if like a toy is actually one of those guys that's like a plant to like try and warp Japanese society. Like I think Hayao Miyazaki, like refers to himself as a feminist. Maybe that's incorrect. Maybe that's just Western like propaganda. But like, you know, like, like I've seen people try to say that like, oh man, he writes strong female characters because he likes strong women, and he's like a progressive creator, and I don't know, like. Uh, it seems like they're trying to force progressive values onto Japan. And I have to wonder if like a toy is a part of that, considering his unique position in the Japanese business industry. And especially because like he enabled someone like Toby Fox. I think that's a really big thing that I really personally hold against him is that like he keeps like enabling Toby Fox to do his thing. It's just. Yeah, Kojima was praising Guevara. Yeah, Shay like actually hated communists, right? Like I think I've read articles about that, about like how he's a communist icon despite like being like a anti-communist himself. Like I'm not like I don't remember the details of that, but I think I've read about that. I don't know. Kojima like definitely fell off after a certain point. Like he's definitely trying to like present himself as like a Hollywood personality. And yeah, I don't know how based Japanese creators actually are. Like people keep doing this thing where they're just like, "Oh, Japan is pure. It's completely free of all corruption." And that's not really true and never really has been. Right? They've been working on like subverting Japan for forever. You know, like I just mentioned Angel Cap. That's all about that, right? So like it's the like they're doing the same thing there that they're doing here, but like how effective is it? Like how much is like warping the public's views on like morality and like what they value? Like how is that going to influence like the globe? The way it looks is that like people just change their minds about as they get older, right? You know, Disney was going full tilt on the propaganda angle for the past decade, and like all that happened was that like the vast majority of audiences either stopped caring or became so obsessed with it they created like entire hate campaigns against it. Like typically if anyone buys into this stuff, they'll just grow out of it as they get older. You know, we were talking on the Discord a while back about like Angelica, the ASM artist who I'm sure went through college, was a basic liberal bitch, was a huge whore. Like I can confirm that, by the way. She has an OnlyFans and a Pornhub account. Um, the most vanilla Pornhub content you've ever seen, by the way. You know, I wonder if it's still up. Actually, I didn't check, but like, uh, you know, one of the most basic liberal bitches, on the platform, right? And what happens? She gets a little bit older and she starts espousing like family values, right? And like a lot of people will like make fun of that, like, oh yeah, children want someday. But in reality, like, um, she really is getting perspective on what's actually important, and she is like kind of doing and saying the things that she should. That like, yeah, you do need children do need a father in their lives and stuff like that. Like it's based, like regardless of the circumstances of how she got there and her background, like how exactly are you supposed to understand how the world works when like everybody around you is deliberately telling you the wrong thing? Like I can tell you that I was surrounded people my entire life, like, ooh, don't go to college, go into debt, like, and then you'll be able to do whatever you want when you're older. And then like I realized naturally that was a scam, right? How often do my parents tell me that like, oh, you can't buy that, it's too expensive? Like even now they're trying to convince me that like buying a car would be too expensive when it's not. Like it really isn't. Like like how often was I lied to, like manipulated because people wanted me to do things a certain way, right? And then like I eventually grew up and started pushing back against it, and yeah, that's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. Is that like people hate the older generations because they fucked us over so badly. And I do think as a result of that, people will take a look at the values that these people espouse, that like, oh, you need to own like these massive houses. You need to like fuck over your kids. You need to do this, this, and this. And they're just like rejecting it. Like, one of the reasons I freaked out so badly last night was because of how overworked I was. I had spent the entire day, like, first of all, that was a Friday stream, wasn't it? Yeah, it's Saturday now. Yeah, that was a Friday stream. I had woken up on Thursday afternoon, tired, like so exhausted I can't do anything, and I got out of bed and I spent the entire day just resting up. Like up until like midnight, I was just like, okay, just working on American Evil, listening to audiobooks, like just relaxing. Up until Trace Memory came out, and then like I spent like 6 hours playing that, playing other games, having a great time on stream, and then like I ended that stream. I I worked a little bit, I ate, and then I did like that 2 hourly live, and I like spurged out. And the reason I spurged out so badly was that like I had come off like a 12-hour shift before I went to sleep the night before, right? So like I was still kind of out of it, and here I am like streaming, trying to be entertaining, trying to like get people invested in what I'm doing, trying to sell books, trying to like hype people on what I'm doing, trying to like uh do things, right? Trying to like tell people that like, oh, please buy American Evil, like please watch my live streams, please subscribe to the channel. Like trying to like figure out what works for me. And like I just end up like just having a breakdown. And that usually happens at work. So I found it interesting that it happened here. Because usually what happens is that I just take a break from what I'm doing or something. Like that's all I really need to do is just like take 4 hours, take a nap, and then like have like a healthy snack, and I should be fine. But like, I was like doing so much that day, like just on camera so much. I just ended up like talking about things that talking about like that weird. Uh, I keep having these weird depression spells, like whenever I'm like just exhausted from working. It's legit like really terrible. Like some of the things that like go through my mind, and sometimes they're not even like how I really feel about things, but like it's just such. I'm just so tired that I just have these weird thoughts about things that um, don't really matter at all, or blown out of proportion or whatever. Um, the classic thought, the trad wife. Oh no, she's never gonna be a trad wife because of her background. But like, I don't know. She's gonna be a wife though. Like she's gonna do her best, right? And I think like when it comes to like our generation, that's probably the best. That's probably all you need to do is just do your best. And I do think Angelica should be like given credit for that. Like I wouldn't marry her because of the stuff I've seen her say, but like, uh, yeah, like I don't know, like she should be given credit for what she's doing. Okay, like I will never say I like Angelica because I don't. She's kind of cringe, but like, eh, I don't know. She comes off as like manic. Like she comes off as like one of those chicks you would like hate fuck or something. That's kind of how I always felt about her. Is that like, yeah, she obviously is like insane, but I don't know. I kind of like that. I've never been with a crazy chick. Never. Because I'm like too much of a bitch. But yeah, I kind of like the idea. Like it's kind of appealing. Like if there were no consequences, if there weren't gonna be like any consequences for it, I would 100% do it. But it's like I don't think it would end well if I did do it. Like ugh. Okay. Yeah, drink a lot of water. Yeah, for sure. Make you age faster. Yeah, I think it's mostly just like the work shifts and stuff like that. Like I'm not sleeping like a full 8 hours. Like I'm waking up early. Like I took like a 4 hour long nap when I got home today after like the bookstore trip. Oh no, don't do that. Oh, don't point that out. Oh yeah, I'm literally Spike. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I mean, I said that's what I say about Edelgard, right? Like I always emphasize that is that like whenever I talk like seriously about how that would work, it's like yeah, we would just kill each other, right? That's why I say like the church route is my preferred ending is because like I just stop her retardation for like the good of the continent, even though I'm still like deeply in love with her. I don't know. Yeah, the Edelgard thing is definitely leaning into like the crazy chick thing, for sure. Like I forget how like insane Edelgard actually is, and until I actually like play Three Houses and like realize the thing she shit, the crazy shit. She is legit like a school shooter type. The shit she says sometimes, like it's just like, bro, like Like, don't do this, Edelgard. Like, I wish there was something you could do to stop her from being such a spurg and, like, turn her into a trad wife, but no. Like, that's what I want, is to just break her and turn her into, like, a trad wife. And yeah, it's just not, it's not going to happen because she's not a real person. But I don't know, the idea of that's kind of appealing to me. Same with Makama. That's how I would want to deal with Makama. I could totally fix her. Yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, bros. I mean, Byleth probably could have done it if he wasn't such like an emotionless spurg. Like, all he had to do was just be there for Edelgard and like actually get her to trust him and like convince her that like conquering the entire planet wasn't necessary. Like it's like rein her in, bro. Like, it's perfectly doable. Like, I mean, that's what happens to Claude, is that he gets reined in, right, without you even really trying. I don't know. Like, I legit think it's possible. Like, I legit think it's possible to, like, rein in her retardation. Yeah, it's crazy how, like, fixated I am on Edelgard, even after, like, the release of Engage. Like, I completely forgot how much I love Ivy and Panette and, like, a lot of those characters. Like, Ivy is probably, like, the best real waifu who's, like, not completely insane I've ever seen. And I love Panette for, like, fetishful reasons. But, like, um, yeah, like, Ivy is just, like, objectively, like, the better choice for me personally. Like, she would we actually share interests and stuff like that, and she's like awesome, and she has like really good story moments. Like, I love Ivy, but like Edelgard is like, it's such a weird thing. It's a weird kind of an obsession for sure. I don't know. I'm curious if like the character is gonna be relevant going forward. If like I'm just gonna like forget about her because she doesn't really appear in anything. I don't know. It's weird. It feels like she's gonna be like the mainstay character from Three Houses. Like, she's the one that everyone cares about and is invested in. Like, I think Dimitri is pretty popular too, but I think it's because of like his dynamic with Edelgard. I like Dimitri. I don't have anything against Dimitri or the Blue Lions. It's like the Golden Deers I don't like. Like, I think they're a waste of space. Yeah, maybe I should end the stream here. Um, I don't. Is anything happening? Yeah, Power World bragging about players. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Oh yeah, based Yongye. Holy shit! One of the biggest plot twists in video game history. Like, fucking Yongye, the actor for Kazuma Kiryu, allegedly, is taking a hard stance against Sega charging for New Game Plus on Like a Dragon. What is it, like Infinite Wealth? Yongye is making public statements decrying monetization practices in a game he is in. What an absolute chad. Like, I know this is retard. I know he's being a retard because this is going to completely tank his voice acting career. But, like, this is, like, undeniably a massive W for Yang Ye. I hope some of those hostesses like suck his dick for this. Like I hope that like people give him like a lot of praise for this because this is insane that he would do this. Because I've been speaking out about how like sleazy Yakuza has been for a while. I've talked about like the reused content and how they can't really do anything new and how it's like the same thing over and over again and how like the games are getting worse but nobody wants to admit it. But now we have people like starting talking about how bad the games are doing. And it's because of this guy. Either Yang Ye was the reason people started noticing that like the English dubs for Yakuza weren't very good. And now he's the reason people are catching on to the whole monetization thing for New Game Plus. So Yang Ye might actually kill Yakuza in the West, which is like undeniably based. Like shit, bro. Like I know what I said he was gonna do that. Like I said it like it was a bad thing, but like if they're gonna pull stunts like this, they should be killed. Like fuck them. So yeah, I'm gonna give props to Yang Ye for that, despite like not being a good voice actor. That is undeniably based. I think that was awesome. Let's see. Yeah, I hope people start like with YouTubers
Playing from
leaving
Cody.
the industry, like leaving the platform. I hope people stop taking eCeleb seriously. Like I'm really sick of them being shoved in everything and like appearing in games. Like Gerard is a really good example of this in Sea of Stars. Like his presence probably was negative publicity for that game because he was in it and like explicitly asking for donations. This guy was using an indie game to solicit his charity fund scheme. That's crazy to think about, but like he did it, and he almost got away with it too. If it wasn't for that meddler Carl Jobst and Mudahar, like like crazy to think about. Yeah, that's crazy. Uh, let's see, Legend of Zelda. Yeah, 2 million copies now. Is it gonna stop at 6 million copies? Ugh, ridiculous. I don't know. Like these inorganic, like random meme games. I'm just getting really tired of them. Like I really am. Like when are we gonna start like admitting that like these games don't have any more real momentum and they won't stay relevant? Like it's embarrassing. Did Yakuza officially fall off once Nagoshi left? Like it was way before that. I would argue Yakuza was never good, but like they managed to make a couple of games that like took off with like weebs or whatever, and the series like is treated like it's way higher quality than it actually is. And for me, it's a really big thing is that like people act like they're really well written stories. They're not. That they have like good. For me, it's like yeah, the series was always deeply flawed, and like I got bored of them. I really did, and I just don't. I just don't see myself ever going back to them. But I don't think Nagoshi leaving had anything to do with it. Like they were already on the decline after zero for sure. Like I would argue three and four weren't very good, but like five was like a big major thing for them, and zero followed up on that, and they've been coasting off the success for that since. I think enjoying another Code R. I am really enjoying it. I kind of acknowledged already that it's way better than something like The Last of Us. Like it's crazy if you like compare the two because another Code R, it actually has good pacing, good character writing, interesting like dynamics, like an interesting setup, like a unique location, like great anime visuals. Like it's really shocking to me how gorgeous the game actually is, considering it was probably made on a shoestring budget, right? Like I've heard that the people that sing are at like Arc System Works now, which is interesting. Like I hope they come back and they start producing like more games like it, but we'll see, we'll see. Like I did not think that like Nintendo would contract Arc System Works for something like this. Like it makes me hope that like there might be some more stuff from them in the future, but like I don't know, man. Man, I would 100% be on board with like Arc System Works right now if it wasn't for the whole Bridget thing. Like every time I talk about them positively, I just have to think to myself like, wait, am I supporting trannies? Like am I supporting like the Bridget conversion? Like nah. Like I they're releasing like the new Under Night in on Switch in a couple of days. It might be already out now actually. Maybe next week. I'm not buying it for that reason. So I guess like avoiding the fighting game franchises is the way I'm gonna go from now, and that's kind of a shame because I really liked the first Under Night, but Under Night in Birth, but like I don't know. I gotta stand by my principles. I haven't bought Hogwarts Legacy yet either. I don't think I ever will at this point. Because everyone I speak to who's not like a complete retard like Angry Joe will tell you that like yeah the game isn't that good. So like why would I buy it? Like the things I wanted to do in Hogwarts, like I don't want to be surrounded by diversity. I don't want to like go through like the Ubisoft open world. Like I don't want to like nothing about the game looks good. Okay, like nothing and people are putting it on like the best of the year lists. Like it's embarrassing. I think the game just really failed to make an impact, and I think it's a really good indication of where things are now, where like people hype that game as much as they did because it was a license thing. You know, Harry Potter is back, and you can explore Hogwarts Castle, and that was big for a lot of people. But the game itself is objectively not that good. And like I knew that going into it, but like I don't see a lot of other people talking about it. Yeah, Bridget versus Bayo. Like Bridget is I don't know. Like uh I don't know. I'm really curious how the Bridget thing is going to end because I don't think anybody is actually going along with that bullshit. Like when I see people like whenever I see like the Guilty Gear guy talking about it, like he just gets wrecked in interviews. Like he's doing all this weird stuff where like he's referring to like to Bridget using like specific honorifics that like nobody actually uses to like emphasizes that the emphasize that like he's a girl now. And like I don't think anybody in Japan is buying it, which I think is interesting. Like in the US the character's popularity is like right now is because of like the tranny thing, but I don't know. I think this is gonna alienate like actual fans. And I wish it was something that like more people would talk about, but I don't know. Like as it stands now, like my official stance on this is that like troons do not exist. You know, I've gone beyond like lesbians don't exist at this point. Like I straight up do not believe troons exist either. Like I don't care what you identify as. Like you are a specific thing, and I'll refer to you as that like that specific thing. It's like I don't care about your identity. So Bridget can go fuck himself. He could take his feminine penis and just fuck off somewhere else. Like I don't I'm not tolerating his bullshit. Or that of the creators. I don't know, man. Like you can play like the old Guilty Gear game on Switch right now, and Bridget is still referred to as like with male pronouns. So like in theory, if they change it back by the next Guilty Gear, like realistically, when is gonna be the next Guilty Gear? Like it's possible we might not see the character again in a decade, and if that happens, like are they gonna stick with this? It's like by that point, the tranny thing is gonna like have completely imploded. It's not gonna stay relevant. It's gonna be more obvious that like it's a sick thing for perverts, and Wait, Josh thinks that too. That like trannies don't. Like my thing about Christian, like look at Christian if you want to see like what a natural progression of the troon is, because like I know Josh has said that like Triss is like a more authentic version of what a troon is, but like I say the opposite. I think he's a typical example of what these people are like. You know, people who have nothing going for them growing up and like are like feel like they could make things easier on themselves if they just pretend to be something they're not, right? And so like they just fall into this community and just do these things trying to be popular, right? Trying to find fulfillment in their lives, and it never really happens because this is a stupid thing to do, and it doesn't work. Incels true and maxing. I don't. Hmm. Like I don't know. In theory, it's like possible for Bridget to flip everything around and just be based. Like all they have to do in the next game is just go like, oh yeah, he realizes that being a Troon is stupid, and so he like embraces his masculinity. Like all you have to do is just draw Bridget with a beard, and suddenly that like it's based. You know, like oh, I'm a man now. You know, I don't have to struggle with like my masculinity or whatever. Like I don't understand why it's like a character conflict for him. Like aren't you just gonna like age? Like, isn't it gonna be like more obvious that like you have masculine like it just doesn't fit. Like I just don't think his the whole like femboy thing is like a real problem that anybody goes through. That makes no sense to me. Like my thing about Bridget is that like he was a degenerate character to begin with. So it's like okay, like do I really care if like people are pretending that he's the creators are pretending that he's something he's not? Like nobody believes that like Bridget was always intended to like go down this route. Like nobody believes that. So yeah, I can kind of confirm that like I had problems with like my sexuality because of the way I was treated growing up. Because like my mom never loved me, right? So it's like this thing where you know I sought out like a lot of I desperately craved affection from women, right? So like yeah, that does happen. And yeah, it shouldn't happen, but you just kind of have to deal with it, you know. It's not like it's not something you should dwell on forever or like really think about that much outside of the context of like, well, like, is there a way to fix it or get over it or something? Because I think the thing about Troons is that like no matter how much uh they go through like what they're going through, like they're never going to like find fulfillment in what they're doing. Like it doesn't matter how much like trap technology advances or like how many operations they get. Like someone like Susie Hunter has gotten like she's gotten like well fuck fuck. I say the name Susie and I just he got like $40,000 worth of like surgery to like try and pass as like an actual woman, right? And I don't know, like a couple years after that, like when was the last time you even heard about Susie Hunter? Like the last time I saw him on stage, it was like during the Capcom event. And then like after that he got sick and I haven't heard from him since. Like is it like Troon induced like paralysis? Like where is he? I guess I could look real quick. I know VGL is a massive fan, so I guess we could just ask. Oh, it's okay, it's Sphere Hunter, isn't it? Okay. Oh no! How Phantom Liberty reboots Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, this is the disgusting thing that I think really killed his credibility. is that he's shilling for a game he's in. Like the Sphere Hunter is lower than Yongye because at least Yongye will like speak out against like Sega's business practices. Like the Sphere Hunter has no credibility. Like Phantom Liberty redeems Cyberpunk. No, it doesn't. Like no, it's never gonna happen. Never ever. Yeah, okay, there aren't that many videos here. Yeah, you have like a video from 3 months ago, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Dino Crisis 2 is tragically iterated 4 months ago, and then Street Fighter 6 7 months ago. So 4 videos in the past 7 months. Okay. I don't know how much he uploads in general, but like, yeah, definitely not a fan of the Sphere Hunter. Like, he is like a massive sellout. I mean, we're talking about a former porn star, so like, it's not like we're talking about some. I know I like praised Angelica on the stream, but I can assure you the content I saw from her was pretty vanilla. But like, yeah, like in comparison, the Sphere Hunter is just like a complete train wreck of a human being, right? Like, shilling for Cyberpunk, which is the most degenerate thing I think he's ever done in his life. Like that is downright disgusting. Yeah, the Sphere Hunter is like a massive shill. Like, again, I I suppose that's part of his grift. That like, ooh, look at me, I'm a trans girl playing video games. Like, I don't know, who did porn, who's playing video games. It's just like, I don't know. It's so weird to me that like people actually simp for that. Like VGL simps for that. That's so weird to me. Like I'm this kind of person who's like weirded out at like VTubers and stuff like that. Like they're not real women. Like when Drexel started talking about like sex dolls and how they're gonna replace like real human females, like I just kind of like, okay, that's not gonna happen. But with like this, like the only way you would possibly think that like Susie Hunter was a real woman is if you haven't interacted with like a real woman in your life, right? Because like I watched that like Bayonetta video he did without like knowing anything about him, and I remember like listening to the voice, and I'm just like immediately aware of what's going on. Like I figured that shit out like organically, right? I had to input it on it. Like I didn't have to like do some like deep research. Like I just knew. Like my super straight self saw right through his bullshit and just knew. Okay. Anthony Cumia's. People keep saying that, but I don't know how true that is. Like I know there's a picture of them together, but I don't know what the context of it is. Like I don't know anything about Anthony Cumia in general. Like I know he's on PKA a lot, which makes me like hate him, but like everyone on PKA is a degenerate. Like if you go on PKA, you're enabling Woody and his like terrible takes. So you are objectively a bad person. So like every single guest PKA has ever had like is a bad person in my mind. Like because you're forcing people to listen to Woody's trash takes. Okay, like you are scum if you go on that show. But like anyway, yeah, that's the only thing I know Anthony Cumia from. I know he had like a popular radio show back in the day or something. I don't know what he does now. Like I think he bangs like barely legal girls or something like that. Like he does like the Drexel thing, and I don't know. Like I don't know the context about like the whole Susie Hunter thing, but um yeah, Woody might be like one of my low key most hated personalities ever. Like I have never seen anybody be so wrong about any given subject like ever. Like okay, I'll give Woody credit this. Like he got me into investing, which was like has been unbelievably helpful for me. Like, and I think he's legit like a good father figure to a lot of the people in his life, right? Like, I'll give him those things, but like, other than that, yeah, he's a real piece of shit. Like, really, like I cannot stand that motherfucker. I cannot stand Kyle. I can't stand Taylor and his like inability, like his legit belief that like, oh, Kyle knows what he's talking about when it comes to women. Like no, Kyle is like legit real talk, like Drexel tire of like degenerate, and nobody really talks about it. Probably because he's not as open about it, I think, as Drexel is, but I'm sure he does the same kind of horseshit. Like I'm sure of it. Wings on. Like I wasn't aware what I've never heard of PKA until Medicare came on. The only reason I know who any of these people are because of the Medicare thing. So like I've never actually seen any Wings content. So I don't actually know. Um I don't care about Wings in general, so it's like um I don't know. That was the thing about classic Medicare, wasn't it? That he used to get you invested in all these things that you never cared about before. He was so good at like leading a conversation and going into like all these topics. Like that episode they had him on, right? They're talking about like pedophiles and like how you should treat one and how you should like whether or not there's like a thing as like an ethical pedophile. They're having like these legit interesting conversations, and like it was so good. I subbed and ended up like hating all of the personalities like years later. Like they're none of them are able to just carry a conversation like that. Like that entire show was carried by Jim, right? It's crazy to think about, but it's true. But yeah, like Wings. I would argue Wings is probably better off without those guys. DSP said this too, which I found interesting, but like it comes off as if like the PKA guys were like using Wings for clout early on, and then they just got rid of him when he became inconvenient, right? Like it feels like they were kind of bullying him and stuff like that. That he had like more success on YouTube than them at the time, and it's I don't know. I just think they're really malicious people personally. I just don't. I don't respect that kind of mindset, honestly. Like, I don't understand why you would bully someone like Wings. It's just. And they were all doing it for a long time. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking that like, oh, we're not like that anymore. Like they were doing it for years. Like Wings has a right to be pissed at them for that. Uh, Shit, fuck, it's cold. Yeah, I didn't turn on the light because. Yeah, I've been having my heat going like all week, and it's still pretty cold in here. So if I get water on me, it's like, fuck, that's terrible. Yeah, I haven't been able to do anything lately because it's been so cold out, and when it's night. Yeah, cannot wait until it starts warming up again. Like I'm starting to hate the winter, at least for now. Uh, Mostly because I can't do anything at night. There's nothing to do. And if it's like dangerous at night or whatever, like because of the ice, it's like I don't want to go out. Like I legit thought last night that I shouldn't go to the bookstore because the roads might be bad. But I got off my street and they were fine. There were plenty of people out, but yeah, it's like I don't know. Like I feel like I'm I don't know. I really kind of resent the fact that I cannot do anything during the day right now. It's just frustrating. I don't even think I should be streaming right now, honestly. Yeah, has it really been 2 hours? Wow. I mean, I've been wanting to get back into doing live shows and stuff like that, but like, I don't know. It's like, it's like I don't know. I think the main thing for me right now is to like try and adjust the schedule so I can do things during the day. and that 100% means like doing something about the job, whether that means quitting or getting on day shift or whatever. I was offered a day shift position, but I had to say no because like I was concerned about like getting the car repaired, and I just need like extra money, and I was just like I didn't know what I was gonna do. It was just terrible timing for me. I really 100% should have said yes, I think. But like it was one of those situations where it was just kind of awkward timing for me, and I wasn't expecting it to be asked, and I don't know. It was just one of those situations. Next time, I think I'll agree to it if I have half an opportunity to. I definitely looking forward to it. Like when it happens, I don't know. Like I've been wanting to like work 3 days a week for a while, but and like I could do it, but it's uh like I'm not there yet with the channel. Like I think like once I start consistently selling enough books, like I'll make the jump to doing it. But it's like, when is that gonna happen? It just feels like I don't like taking the risk. Like I would rather just do the things I'm doing now. But it's like really causing problems for me, like in my personal life too. So it's like, yeah, depressed. Dandori issue. Ugh. It is not a Dandori issue because I'm doing everything I can. It's just like, I hate the fact that like the Dandori issue has like stopped becoming a meme. Like I imagine it's gonna be a big thing for Pikmin fans, but like outside of that community, it doesn't feel like it's something that's really talked about. Yeah, it's another early access game. Look, okay, so Power World. Yeah, look at this. Like oh, you can't look at it, but look, I can see like a Zeb Striker. I can see like a Meowth. I can see like a Muck thing that's just brown instead of purple. Yeah, I see. Yeah, a Labras that's like on land. Like this is the most generic looking thing I've ever. A bunch of Pokemon fans are butthurt. Yeah, because you're just attacking Pokemon fans instead of just enjoying your game. Like, I think it says a lot about Power World fans, where like the first thing out of their mouth is like, "Oh, Pokemon fans are gonna seethe," but like, people are seething because you're talking like that. Like just enjoy your game. Like, why are you fixating so much on what like Pokemon fans are doing? Like, who cares? I probably should adjust the camera if I sit like this. Oh, fuck. Let's see. Yeah, I might as well end the stream because I can't think of anything else I want to talk about right now. I talked about all the books that need to be, that are coming out this year. Talked about current events, talked about everything. I think that's everything. Yeah, 2 hours is a little bit long, but I don't know. It seems to be working for us just fine, right? I am enjoying the streams. They won't be this long during the week for sure, but I think on the weekend, I think I'll be able to do like longer streams pretty consistently. Yeah, I would like to do like at least an hour a day for sure. Get like a good flow going, getting like keeping everyone updated on what's happening, talking about like current events and stuff like that. Right now, I don't think there's anything else going on right now other than the anticipation for talking about Power World, right? That's the big thing today. So we've done that already, so I think we're done. Okay. Something is up when a monster collector has to sell itself, being the Pokemon alternative. I've never seen SMT do that. Yeah, that's a good point. You don't have to do that if like your game actually has quality. DQM didn't do that, right? That's the big one I've been talking about. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. We're going to come back tomorrow, and we're going to try to talk about more stuff. I don't know. Like again, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Like I think the big thing in the near future is talking about like the Switch and the next Nintendo Direct and what they're going to bring and stuff like that. Maybe we'll do a Nintendo Direct prediction stream. That might be fun. Um, I don't know. Like there's all sorts of things we can do. Like we'll see what tomorrow brings. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to check out my books. And I hope you enjoyed the stream.